my little yarnivores and spiderettes, Fiber Spider, back again with a follow-up to my unboxing for Darn Good Yarn that I did the other day, as well as a sort of a tutorial, if you will. Now, the other day I did an unboxing for, as I said, Darn Good Yarn, and this was one of the yarns that came with it. And I believe it was the Sari Silk Ribbon Yarn. Well, in the skein form, I was pretty pleased. It looked really cool. And then when I was in the balling process of turning it from skein into a ball, can you see this? Cringy, frizzy, fraying, and actually, in spite of the fact that I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be silk, this stuff is coarse. Oh my god. Really coarse. Like, can you hear this? I'm sorry, but you know, I initially my first reaction, my first impression was good when it was in its skein form, but oh god, no, I am not pleased with this. It breaks fairly easily. In fact, I even, let me see here. Do I have those bits? Yep. I even had to cut out a bit that was stitched into it because I'm like, this is yellow. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. So I actually had to snip that out. So this yarn, I'm sorry, this yarn was actually a disappointment to me. You know, and I wouldn't consider myself to be a yarn snob, but this yarn was definitely a disappointment. But that being said, I'm thinking, we got lemons. Let's make some lemonade. So I figured, all right, I'm going to do something with it. So I tried using a crochet hook. Again, oh, disaster. I tried large gauge hooks, you know, and it wasn't happening. Excuse me. It just was not happening because all of the threads and irregularities were getting caught. And I'm like, oh, this is just no. So enough of my whining. I decided to do a technique, which I've done before, called finger crocheting. And that way, you don't need a hook. No, you can just use your little digits. And so after working with it, I came up with this. Now, if you'll excuse the ends that still need to be woven in and so forth, you know, this is what I came up with, you know, and of course, because you're using your fingers and not a hook, yes, it is a very open, lacy, wide gauge, granted, but it makes the process a lot easier when you're using your fingers as opposed to using a hook. Believe you me. So I figured that I would do sort of a quick tutorial on how to finger crochet, and also to do a follow-up from my last video, which was the unboxing. For those of you that are curious, even though this was, you know, the skein that I got for free, it left me with a bad taste in my mouth. So I decided to cancel that subscription, and I decided to join a new subscription service, and so that should be coming sometime in October. So stay tuned for that. But I hate the idea of getting something and not actually using it and really giving it the old college try. So this is what I've come up with so far, and you know, it's going to be a skinny scarf. Granted, you know, I understand that, but I really don't have a tremendous amount of material to work with, so we make do. You know, we get lemons, we try to make some lemonade. So now this is, you know, construed as a super bulky yarn. Okay, so I thought, what else could we use? Well, this actually is a spool knitted I-cord, okay? And it was done using this little gadget. And spool knitting has been around for eons, where people would actually take a spool of thread that was no longer being used, they would drive nails into the top, and then they would actually create a cord that goes down through here, and you would end up with a cord. And this is actually a great way of using bits of yarn where you don't really have enough for a project. You just make a length of cordage, and then you attach it to another length of cordage, and then you attach it to another length of cordage, and you just keep going, and you can create some really interesting looks with, you know, yarn that you really don't have much of a use for otherwise. So you can use a thick yarn like this for finger crocheting. Or another thing you could do, let me get some of this out of the way. Another thing that you could quite conceivably do, oh yeah, here's one of my other little ends that died on me. Another thing that you can do is, because I know that thick yarn can get expensive, you know, super bulky, mega bulky, yeah, it can get very expensive. So another thing that you can do is take a large hook. Actually, I'm not going to use one quite that large. This one's a J. So you can take 2 strands of yarn, a worsted weight, a fingering weight, whatever. You could even do more than 2 if you want. And do a slip knot holding both strands together. And, pardon me, just do a chain stitch. A really long chain stitch. Now, this is great if you're looking for a tweed kind of effect, where you have, you know, the 2 strands held together, and excuse me, I am terribly sorry. You know, if you want to go for, you know, like a tweed look, and you can use this as your thick yarn. You know, this is actually a trick that I picked up when I was doing loom knitting, and you typically need to hold 2 strands held together, and you know, sometimes it's tricky, you know, making sure that both strands are, you know, together as you're going along. This way, it is a strand of yarn. So it does act as, I would say, like a weight of 5 or 6 when it's in chain format like this, which I really like. So again, it's just another little helpful hint from your little fiber spider. And so you just keep, you know, working with this. So you would work with, you know, this as your actual yarn and keep these 2 ends attached to your working balls of yarn. And then if you need more of a chain, just add more of a chain. No big deal, right? So with the I-cord, I am going to show you how to actually go about the finger crocheting process. It's really not hard. Also, it comes in handy if you are in a situation where you have yarn, but you have no hook, or if you're on, say, an airplane and you're not permitted to use a hook because people are paranoid. All right, so that being said, I'm going to get myself a little situated, and then I'll show you how to do a little finger crocheting. I'll be right back. Alrighty, so you don't need a tremendous tail when you're starting off. Also, I am going to put a link to how to spool knit in the description box down below. So just like you would normally do, you make a slip knot, like so. Easy enough, right? Now, what you need to keep in mind is that, let me just scooch my camera, there we go. What you need to keep in mind is that you really need to be able to fit both fingers, your thumb and your index finger, through your slip knot hole. Otherwise, you're going to have a bit of a problem because what we're going to do is, here's my tail, and here's my working yarn. So we're going to actually pull the yarn through, like so. and catch it on your index, and that is your first chain. You see the two V's? And actually, I'm going to make that a little bit looser because, like with arm knitting, you don't want your loops to be too tight. Otherwise, it is next to impossible to keep working with them on the following row, believe me. So pull that out a little, and then pull up the loop for our first chain. Pull up another loop, and you pull up another loop, and you just, this is your chain stitch. You know, it's really as easy as that. And then when you have the number of chains that you that you want, you then start in with your single crocheting. Now, for this purple example, I did 6 chains because I wanted 5 single crochets. I didn't want to go too wide because, I have a limited amount of yarn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, and then that's that last one. So what we're going to do is we are going to go into, pardon me, we're going to go into the top of the V, because this is how our chains usually look, right? So we're going to go into the top of the V, so that's right into here. So you just insert your finger into there, like so. And then you grab your yarn, you pull it through. I'll do that again. Pull it through. And again, you want to make sure that you have these up high enough so that you can reach your fingers through and pull your yarn through. All right, and then I'm going to go into the next chain stitch. Pulling your yarn up. Got both loops on your hook. And this, it's the exact same sort of mechanics as the regular single crochet stitch. It's just a much bigger gauge. They do have crochet hooks that look like dangerous weapons because they're so big. You can use those, but they can also get very expensive. And with this, you can literally say, hey, this is handmade, literally. All right. Okay, so we pulled up our loop, and then we got this one more, this last one. And we go through both loops, like so. And there we are. Now, if you have a fairly narrow piece, it helps to actually count the number of stitches that you've done, because it's very easy to lose track, believe me. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And see this last one, this 5th one, it's really squinched, if that's a word, squinched onto the edge here. But that is our 5th one. So that's what you need to be aware of. So, that being said, we're going to chain up 1, like so, and then we're going to turn the work. And then we're going to go underneath both parts of the V here, and we're going to pull up our yarn, and then pull through both loops. And then again going through both parts of the V, front and back loop. So that was and you will need to shift your work about a little bit. All right, and then we go into the next one. And go through both loops. And then into the next, through both loops. And last but not least, the last one. And pull through both loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ta-da! And there you go. So that is your basic finger crocheted single crochet stitch. And for this weight, because it is a thick yarn and because it is very, very massive, very dense, this could be potentially a good blanket, even a good comforter, if you will. If you're going in the round, crocheting in the round, this could actually make a really cool rug, like an area rug. Get creative with it, by all means. So the reason why I decided to show you how to do this is because sometimes you're just faced with a yarn that defies logic, reason, understanding, and at least my level of patience. But I was determined to actually do something with it and to show you, yes, it can be done with, a lot of caffeine and a lot of patience and some trial and error. It can happen. You too can do it. Now, yes, in a sense, I'm being a quitter, and I'm not going to continue with this particular company and their yarn. I haven't tried the other yarn that I got with this yarn. I haven't tried it yet. I'm still going to, but my mind is kind of made up, so I decided to, try another company and see if I like them better. So we'll see how that happens. I'm sorry if I'm disappointing any of you, but that's just me, how I feel. Another thing that would be very akin to this would be making t-shirt yarn, or regular cotton fabric yarn, or even plastic yarn, which I might go into in future videos. So listen, I'm going to put a link back to the unboxing that I did of this in the description box, a link to how to make your own I-cord, yeah, that's that's pretty much all she wrote for today. But I just wanted to, like I said, I wanted to do a follow-up on this as soon as I knew what it was that I was dealing with, because like I said, my initial sort of impression was really good, and now it's really not. And like I said, I'm not sponsored. My opinions are unsolicited, so I'm being nothing but honest with you guys. And, you can take it for what it's worth. If you like artisan yarns that are handmade, by all means, go for it. If you like it, enjoy it. They're not for everybody. I'm one of those people. So, listen, I hope you found this follow-up and tutorial of some help and of some use to you guys. And, you would just, finish off your crocheting as you normally would, in typical single crochet style, So at any rate, if you like this video, please hit the like button. Your support and your vote of confidence really means the world to me. If you have any questions, comments, what have you, please do so in the comments section down below. And if you haven't hit subscribe already, please do so, because I try to post videos as often as I can, time permitting and so forth. So stay tuned in. And until next time, I want you guys to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, and above all, stay stitching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.